it's not just a historical artifact, as we were talking about earlier. It is something that has a very strong relationship to how we view our own world, as well as how we view the world of the past, and how those two interact. And it's not just about the history and the literature, but it is also about the folklore and how that has been transmitted. And that's why there is that difference that you saw with the Malleus Maleficarum in how it is addressed in several different ways. So I'm trying to, I wrote so many notes, I'm trying to. One of the things that is, that you might want to take a look at is, I actually brought this with me. This is the Journal of American Folklore for last summer. David Elton Gay wrote a wonderful book review that covers several different witchcraft books that are very useful within folklore. And I know we talked about some historical references. My, trying to decide where to start because I have all of these notes. Sorry, give me just 1 second. One of the things that I thought was a recurring theme within all three of your presentations was how witches were presented within that period. Who were they? Where did they fit within society? How were they portrayed, and in both the descriptions and in the iconography at that time as well as now? You showed the video of the three witches, and in very modern, kind of like the nursing nun dress. What does that say about how we're viewing how witches fit within our own current society, as well as how we can bring what had happened in the past into what we are talking about? So that's where I wanted to start with. I also had a couple questions for each of you, although some of them, they sent us outlines about a week ago, and so, a couple weeks ago. And so I had some questions, most of which were actually answered, but yeah. So anyway, I think probably, I know Carrie had some comments and I had some comments, and we wanted to get a discussion started, so I think probably the best thing to do right now is to open it up to the floor for questions.
I have a quick question for Kelsey, actually. You mentioned that with the Alfred Baum and affirmation is this important color, and so I was sort of expecting you to say something about Slytherin and its best color. So I was wondering if that was part of the larger project, or if you'd like to say a little bit more about that now. And then the other thing that I was thinking about is we also, especially I guess it's in the fifth book with the figure Dolores, whatever her name is. Right. Her color's not green, it's pink. Right, and as you pointed out in the film version of The Wizard of Oz, it's Glinda the Good Witch, who's pink. So I was wondering if you'd like to say something a little bit about sort of both the continuation of the green and then the confusion of the pink, or whatever.
I guess following with the green, that you have Slytherin is the bad house at Hogwarts, so all of the wizards have come out of Slytherin. But to contrast that, well, I guess first, in addition to that, the killing spell, the spell that kills you instantly, has a green flash. So it's something that Harry sees over and over again. It's always referred to. But at the same time, Harry's eyes being just like his mother's is a huge issue in the book. And, does Snape hate Harry because he looks like his mother? Does Snape want to protect Harry because he looks like his mother? Harry has his mother's green eyes. So you also see that, is that a damning color, or is it redemptive in some way? And so I saw her playing with the color green a lot in her novels. As far as Umbridge, and I could be wrong about this, but I believe that Umbridge in the novels wasn't a pink person.
Is that a movie thing?
I think that they changed that in the movie, because she was pink in the movie, definitely.
Well, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
She was very fluffy, and I believe she had a pink cardigan that she wore.
Yes.
And it scares me that I know that.
Yes, she wore pink in the movies, and that's definitely another area where they were toying around with that concept of she's a very bubbly person, and yet she has students carving words into their arms as detention punishment. So that's also another area they were playing around.
And that brings to something that I was thinking about when you were showing the wizards, and you were talking about Rowling tried very hard to make sure that they had some ambiguous qualities. And you qualified Lockhart and Draco Malfoy as being bad. But within the books, Lockhart's not so much bad as he is just and misunderstood, maybe. But I think well, I think
remember he's the one who steals.
Yeah.
As scholars must understand it. He steals other people's work.
Yes.
He's a
Okay.
plagiarizer.
Which is the worst kind of evil.
I guess rather than evil, I should have said self-sufficing. They were just out for their own good.
Okay, and that, yes, that definitely clarifies that a little bit more. And Draco, the reason that I said, question the description of him as totally evil is because, you know, early on he's a stupid little boy who makes very bad decisions and has some really not very nice friends. But, you know, at the end, I'm wondering about his internal conflict, and I'm wondering about whether or not it's fair to characterize it purely as evil.
Well, the picture that I had was actually of his father.
Well, yes, but you said the Malfoys. So
right. That whole
that's
family is just kind of
question. Yes.
messed up, but
Yes, I understand.
right.
I'm sorry to have arrived late. I was hoping to catch at least one of these papers. I was in another thing and it went late because they were using computers, you know, this modern technology, and everything got delayed by 15 minutes. So,
Magic, yes.
but I want to ask if any of you covered the gendered use of the term witch. If I recall, don't know much about the Salem witch trials, but witch was not gender specific. Am I right?
Yeah, it could be applied to either. They didn't have the word wizard or anything like that.
Whereas so much of the protests by the religious right against Harry Potter were because they were teaching people to be witches, not teaching people to be wizards. They didn't seem to care about that. It was witches that was the term that really got them. And Rowling used that specifically as females. You know, wizards were the males. I just wanted to comment, and I want people to comment on that.
And that's on my list of things that I was going to suggest that all three of you look more into is the gender terminology and gender depictions.
I also have that.
Yeah.
Probably
more detailed.
I wanted to suggest Bell Book and Candle as another addition to your going through popular culture about witchcraft, which just I think precedes Samantha. And in that play, which is turned into a movie, the witch becomes human. She gives up her power to stay with her man, which is a real kind of thing. But I also wanted to comment on cats. I mean, the cats are always the what do they call them?
Familiars.
And being a cat person, it really pisses me off in Harry Potter because the cats are always bad. Remember, she has those plates with the little obnoxious cats, the foul too.
Yeah.
And even Crookshanks is kind of, you know.
But Professor McGonagall's cat.
Say what?
Yes.
Professor McGonagall's a cat. Yeah, so she plays around with that idea of the cats as well as the colors.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'd say Kelsey nailed it when you said that almost every character in almost every